When my biological parents found me, the fake young master and the fake young lady were following behind them. My mother introduced them to me with a guilty lark. After you got lost, your father and I were so sad, so I adopted your brother, and your father adopted your sister. Sarah, from now on, they'll be your real siblings. Okay? Looking at those faces that bore a striking resemblance, I spoke innocently. Of course we're real siblings. After all, brother looks like mom. And sister looks like dad, only I'm different. Looking like both dad and mom. As soon as I finished speaking, as I finished speaking, the expressions on everyone's faces changed and I smiled. What fake young master and fake young lady? They were just giving a legitimate status to their respective illegitimate children. In my previous life, I was well behaved. Yet I was driven insane by the fake young master and the fake young lady working together. They got me kicked out of the house by my parents and I ended up dying a tragic death on the street. This time, none of them will get away with it. These equally matched parents, along with the ambitious young master and young lady, were all desperately trying to hide their panic. Eventually, Vivian was the first to break the silence. Sister, you must be tired after such a long journey home today. She came up to hold my hand, trying to change the subject. I didn't object. As I didn't plan to expose them directly, what I wanted was to plant a seed of doubt in all their hearts. Before I could firmly establish myself, no matter how chaotic it was here, I wouldn't gain any benefit, so I followed her to the corner of the second floor. She opened the door and, just like in my previous life, pointed at the 50 square meter large room and said with a beaming smile, "This is the biggest room in the house. I used to live in it. Now that sister is back, I should return it to its rightful owner. I heard that sister often has nightmares. So I sewed a pillow for you with my own hands. There are soothing spices in it, which are most suitable for sister." She smiled charmingly and gently shook the fake young master James' arm. The latter stared at me with a look of displeasure. Yeah, having fulfilled my obsession. Vivian stayed up for several nights to make this Don T be ungrateful and let her efforts go to waste. Hearing this, my smile grew wider. It was just a matter of stuffing some hallucinogenic spices into the pillow. Was it really worth spending several nights on it? Although it had kept me restless on countless nights, and even caused me to suffer from severe mental illness in the past, but this time, I still accepted it readily. Thank you, little sister, but this room is too big. I'm not used to sleeping in such a big room. Vivian suddenly seemed a bit flustered. That won't do. I'll take the pillows for the room. I'll let mom and dad arrange it again. With that, I went downstairs. In the early stage of developing mental illness in my previous life, I had already felt various physical discomforts. Who knew what kind of surprises were waiting for me in the room? I didn't dare to sleep in the room redecorated by Vivian anymore. Downstairs, Mom and Dad asked me with smiles, "Sarah, how do you like your new room? Do you like it?" I also smiled brightly. "Mom and Dad, the room is great, but I don't want to take away my sister's things. The small utility room in the east, I can clean it up and live in it. I haven't been able to fulfill my filial duties by your side all these years. Unfortunately, I can't afford to buy you gifts. This is the pillow my sister gave me. I'll pass it on to you. I heard there are spices in it that can help with sleep. I hope you have good dreams every night." Then, I directly stuffed the pillow full of spices into their arms. At this time, my parents hadn't lost hope in me yet, so they were deeply touched and held my hands tightly. "Sarah, it's Mom and Dad who didn't take good care of you, which led to you being abducted by human traffickers. You've suffered outside these years. There are 3 million in this card. If you want anything, ask your brother to take you to buy it. Mom and Dad will definitely make up for what we owe you." After that, my mom took off the gemstone necklace around her neck and put it on me with a loving face. "This is Mom's favorite necklace. Now I'm giving it to Sarah. Okay? At the banquet tomorrow, you wear it. We want everyone to know that our precious daughter is back." Vivian and her brother, who had chased downstairs, stared at the card and the necklace. Jealousy and coldness flashed in their eyes. "Sister, this was for you. And since Mom and Dad are older, the spices they use should be different. I can make another one for them." I also smiled. Dad is very busy at work, and Mom has serious insomnia. These spices will also be good for them. "Little sister, if you really don't feel at ease, Mom and Dad, Why don't you ask a doctor to take a look at this pillow? Just in case there's my words were interrupted, Vivian said nervously, that won't be necessary. Even if the spices aren't beneficial, they won't do any harm at s. Just, I preempted her and said, in that case, Mom and Dad, use it with peace of mind on tea like the gift I gave you. Hearing this, the two hugged me even tighter. How could we not like it, Sarah? Mom and Dad will hug it and sleep every night. Sarah, don't live in the utility room, live in the south room. It was originally a guest room. If you don't like it, we can redecorate it. Vivian's face turned much colder, and she stopped talking. James was about to say something, but after receiving a look from Vivian, he also closed his mouth. My mom spoke again. She glanced at Vivian inferently, her tone much colder than in my previous life. Take your sister to her room tomorrow when she attends the banquet. You're in charge of her outfit. Vivian was stunned and said a grief lie. Mom, what's wrong? Did I do something to make you angry? Why, now that sister is back, you don't want me anymore? I raised my eyebrows knowingly. It seemed that what I said had made Mom suspect Vivian's identity. Sure enough, Mom just smiled and said, how could that be? The moment your dad adopted you, he decided to take care of you for a lifetime. By the way, you were 4 years old when you were brought back. You've never mentioned anything about your biological parents. Do you still remember them? Vivian was stunned, and my dad quickly stepped in to smooth things over. She was so young back then. What could she remember? All right, Vivian, take your sister to her room quickly. Vivian left and no one noticed that my mom secretly plucked a few of her hairs in Vivian's room. She gave me a dress. Sister, this is a custom-made evening dress I had before it is inlaid with 5 diamonds and is really beautiful. Try it on. The dress was indeed stunning with its hollow-out design. It exuded nobility and luxury, shimmering with light, which was very suitable for the identity of the true young lady of the Windsor group. Was this very dress that made me the laughingstock of the whole city. The day after I returned home, my parents' guilt towards me was soon replaced by anger due to the embarrassment. But this time, I'll make them dig their own graves after I put it on. She led me in front of our parents. Mom and Dad, how's my taste? They pulled me to look me over and nodded. Not bad. They're all blue diamonds. Sarah looks elegant and decent in it. Vivian's lips curved slightly. Sister, the diamonds on this are very precious. You'd better change out of it for now and wear it tomorrow. I followed her back to the room after changing clothes. She naturally took the dress. This dress needs to be maintained, and the process is quite complicated to ensure everything is perfect tomorrow. It's better to leave it with me for now. I didn't refuse and just smiled at her. Vivian, thank you. But if you give this dress to me, what will you wear tomorrow? She pointed to a light blue evening dress in her closet. Tomorrow is the welcome home banquet for sister. Of course, having fulfilled my obsession, I won't steal your spotlight. I'll just wear this one. I tilted my head, looking naive and puzzled. But this one doesn't look very expensive. If it's too plain, will Mom and Dad feel embarrassed? A hint of disgust flashed in her eyes, and her tone carried an unconscious sense of pride. Don't judge by its simplicity. It's not cheap. It's at least worth over 2 million. If she didn't want to steal my spotlight, why wear a dress worth millions? The corners of my mouth curved slightly. Then I'm relieved. She loves to show off, and this time I'll let her have her fill in the afternoon. James took me to the mall. He perfunctorily bought me some daily necessities. After getting a new mobile phone, he quickly took me to a jewelry store. After choosing a few ordinary pieces of jewelry, he handed me a form to sign. I just took a glance. What is this? He impatiently urged. You have to sign when buying jewelry you don't understand anyway. Don't waste time. I pretended to be wronged and signed my name. I've seen many people courting death, but this is the first time I've seen someone in such a hurry to do so at night. I called the orphanage director. Yes, thank you for your concern. My parents are very good to me. My parents said that they owe you a lot for taking care of me all these years. So they donated 3 million to the orphanage. It was just transferred. The director was so excited that he kept thanking me. And it was only after a few minutes that we hung up. The night was very quiet, and I could even hear my mom making a phone call in the living room. Although she tried her best to suppress her emotions, I could still sense her anger. No wonder he's so good to Vivian. So she's really his biological daughter. My mother's family has helped him so much. How dare he be unfaithful to me? Fine. Since he dared to bring his illegitimate child to my face to raise, don't blame me for being ruthless. Early the next morning, quite a few guests had already arrived at the Windsor residence one after another. To celebrate the return of his long-lost biological daughter. My dad even invited my second uncle, who had separated from the family for many years and had almost no contact in the hall. Everyone was holding champagne. Looking forward to my appearance after Vivian spent an hour dressing me up, she finally led me to make an appearance. Sarah is really beautiful. You can tell at a glance that she's the biological daughter of the Windsor family head and his wife. Even after being away for so many years, her temperament is no less than that of the lady when she was young. Everyone was putting on fake smiles. Politely flattering my parents were also happily responding with those hypocritical polite words. But when I gradually walked into the middle of the crowd, a huge beam of light shone down from above my head. And the gorgeous dress was fully revealed. However, I saw that the smiles on everyone's faces froze for a moment and then turned into ridicule and mockery. Even though they haven't seen their biological daughter for more than 10 years. There's no need to let her wear a dress full of fake diamonds, right? Exactly. The Windsor family isn't short of money. While if their biological daughter were fakes, I heard that since the Windsor group was passed on to Richard, it has been outwardly strong but inwardly weak. Maybe things are even more difficult now, having fulfilled my obsession. And they can only use fake diamonds to keep up appearances. The old Mr. Windsor had bad judgment. He should have passed it on to the second son back then. And that gemstone necklace around her neck, isn't that just glass? It's still the child raised at home who's sensible. Look at Vivian. She's dressed appropriately without being flashy and hasn't embarrassed the family. Gossip spread everywhere, and my parents' faces turned extremely ugly. They stared intently at the diamonds on my dress. Their faces as dark as the ground. That's right, all the diamonds on it were fake. So fake that they could be seen through at a glance. But Vivian knew that I rarely even saw clean white rice, let alone tell the difference between real and fake diamonds, so she dared to replace the diamonds on my dress so brazenly. Just like in my previous life, amidst the ridicule of everyone, my parents walked up to me with cold faces and, lowering their voices, questioned Vivian, who was in charge of my outfit. What's going on? Where's my gemstone necklace? She looked extremely aggrieved. Mom and Dad, I don't know what happened. After I helped sister change clothes yesterday. She was the one who put away the dress. After counting to 3 in my mind, James came over with a look of exasperation. Sister, I advised you yesterday not to sell the diamonds in Mom's necklace. Then he took out a purchase list. It stated that 10 blue diamonds and a gemstone necklace were sold to a jewelry store by me for $5 million. Right at the bottom of the list, there was not only the jewelry store's emblem but also my signature. Sister, you're so muddle-headed. We know you've endured a hard life outside these years. But you're home now, Mom, Dad. And we will make it up to you. No matter what, you can't steal the family's diamonds and sell them. What's more, Mom's necklace was left to her by Grandma. It has extraordinary significance. Fortunately, I secretly bought the necklace back later. With that, he handed a gemstone necklace to Mom. She examined it carefully, let out a sigh of relief, and then stared at me coldly. Now, with what seemed like irrefutable evidence, they could no longer hold back. Their eyes, filled with disappointment and anger, though they tried to lower their voices, still sounded deafening. Sarah, why did you do this? If you needed money, you could have told us. Do you know how embarrassed we are because of your petty theft behavior? You're really unrefined. Now go back to your room and reflect on your actions. The loud voice reached the ears of everyone present. And quite a few people started laughing. Although she was born into a wealthy family, she doesn't have the qualities. After being at the bottom for so long, she doesn't look like a noble even in fine clothes. Don't let her wear fine clothes. I'm really afraid she'll sell them too. TSK. That jeans can't compete with the environment. My second uncle, who had been silent, also burst out laughing. With my brother's genes, what good offspring could he produce? If it weren't for Dad's partiality back then, the Windsor Group wouldn't have declined in his hands. My dad's face turned red with anger. And he glared fiercely at my second uncle. My mom, impatiently, gave James a look. A flash of triumphant smile passed across James' face. And then he said inferently, "Sister, I'll take you back to your room first." After that, he bowed to everyone with an apologetic look. "I'm sorry my sister has endured a hard life outside." When she came back, we arranged a medical checkup for her, and the doctor said she has serious psychological problems. It's understandable that she did these things. I apologized to Mom, Dad, and everyone on behalf of my sister. The atmosphere eased a bit. My second uncle said proudly, "Although Xion is just an adopted son, he has an extraordinary bearing. Isn't he much better than the biological one?" Everyone's topic then shifted to James, praising him for his young achievements, as if nothing had happened just now. I had a psychological illness. And all the things I did and the shame I brought to the family had a perfect excuse. Naturally, my parents wouldn't miss this excellent chance to save face. "Yes, we're treating her." James became even more complacent, and the hand pulling me was also very forceful. He wanted to take me back to the room. Just like in the previous life after the banquet, my parents would release the news that I had a mental illness. Then, I would be unable to sleep soundly for a whole month amidst my parents' furious scolding subsequently. After being franked by them, I would be loathed and even abandoned by my parents. Eventually, under the effect of the spices, I would start to doubt if I was really ill, to the point of going insane and dying with regret. I didn't want to experience that kind of pain again. Fortunately, I was well prepared. The next moment, a camera crew arrived uninvited. "Excuse me, which one is Miss Sarah?" "We're from the TV station. Invited by the director of the welfare home. We're here to interview you about your kind act of donating money yesterday. Our society needs kind-hearted people like you. We hope to publicize this matter and let more people know about your good deed." Everyone looked bewildered after the reporter's explanation. They learned that I had donated $3 million to the welfare home last night. My parents, after a moment of confusion, took the microphone with surprise and excitement. In fact, what the guest said just now was right. The Windsor Group is indeed outwardly strong but inwardly weak. Now they wouldn't miss any chance to make a comeback. Yes, as soon as we heard that the conditions of the welfare home were tough, we spontaneously asked her to donate. We also experienced losing a daughter. We hope all children can live well. Actually, we've been thinking about donating 10% of the group's annual revenue to welfare institutions. The two talked a lot in front of the media, as if it were all true, without noticing that their adopted son and daughter's faces had turned extremely ugly. After they had their fill of showing off, they turned their heads and looked at me with gratified eyes, full of hints. "Sarah is as kind-hearted as we are. Maybe she sold those diamonds to do good deeds too." Seeing that I didn't respond, my parents' hinting eyes became even more eager. But I changed the subject. "But I didn't do any of these things." Then, I took out my phone and played a video for everyone. It was the scene in the jewelry store where James tricked me into signing. I had just bought a new phone and found video recording novel, so I kept it on, of course. I also recorded the process of my brother tricking me into signing the contract. After that, I looked at James with a puzzled face. "Brother, it wasn't easy for me to come back. Why are you targeting me?" By now, it was clear to everyone. People stared at the flustered James with contempt. I really thought he had an extraordinary bearing. I didn't expect him to be scheming, an adopted son pushing the biological daughter like this. He really doesn't know his place. He's so bad at such a young age. What will he be like when he grows up? He was stunned for a moment, frowned, and said in a flustered tone, "No, I didn't. It wasn't like this at that time. It's Sarah who's scheming otherwise. Why did she just happen to record it? This video is out of context." But he couldn't produce any evidence, and every retort of his was so feeble. Slap. A clear and resounding slap landed on James' face. "How could you frame your sister?" His eyes filled with loathing. James was stunned by the blow, hanging his head, and no one knew what he was thinking. The reporters were snapping pictures of James, while Vivian was left unnoticed. I didn't want to let her elaborate preparations go to waste facing the camera. I said again, I'm not like Vivian. I can't calmly put on an expensive dress, drape a mink coat over myself, and always be mom and dad's little princess. Maybe that's why my brother looks down on me. My desolate words shifted the reporter's attention to Vivian. Her seemingly plain dress sparkled with a riot of colors under the lights. Her face changed slightly to avoid staining Vivian's reputation. My dad slapped James again. What right do you have to target Sarah? You're such an embarrassment. My mother felt distressed and tried to protect James. Kids always make mistakes. Don't hit him anymore. Okay? My dad lowered his voice. His tone fierce. Kid? Who's kid? Eleanor Tudor. I had a paternity test done on you and this brother is your biological son. I can overlook your past before marriage since we have no feelings left, but this brat you gave birth to dares to play tricks in front of me and disrupt our home. Don't blame me for being ruthless. My mom gritted her teeth and glared at him. Do you think I don't know? I also have the paternity test report of you and Vivian in my hand. If you can have a child with a mistress, why can't I? If you dare to touch James, Vivian won't have a good time either. My dad stared at her intently but didn't take further action. Instead, he forced a cold smile at the guests. I'm sure everyone is tired. We won't keep you any longer. The guests left on their own accord. In the mess, my dad slumped on the sofa. Rubbing his temples, James stood silently aside, casting cold glances at me from time to time. Vivian carefully observed everyone's expressions. When her eyes met my mom's cold gaze, she suddenly shuddered. Suddenly, my mom spoke. This matter can't be blamed on James alone. Vivian was in charge of Sarah's dress all along. She's also involved in this. Vivian showed a surprised expression. No, Mom, I don't know anything about it. My mom sneered. When you two were changing clothes yesterday, Owen wasn't even present. If you didn't instigate him, how could he have accomplished so many things in such a short time? Vivian, you'd better not lie to me. You're still too inexperienced. In my previous life, when I was wrongly accused, none of them analyzed the whole story to clear my name. To put it bluntly, they loved the illegitimate children they had raised by their side more. As long as I wasn't involved in some matters, they would naturally attack each other for the sake of their own illegitimate children. Vivian's pupils constricted apparently. She was intimidated by my mom's cold attitude, but she still put on a wronged look and cried. I really didn't do it. It was all my brother's doing. My brother was afraid that after sister came back, she would fight him for the family property. So he did this. Hearing this, a flash of shock and disappointment at being betrayed crossed James' eyes, but before he could speak, my mom slapped Vivian directly. Shut up. As long as I'm here, you have no right to speak. Vivian covered her face and burst into tears. My dad smashed the cup on the coffee table, gritted his teeth and pointed at my mom. This is the Windsor family at mess, not your place to act wild. Now, take this brat and get out of here. My mom laughed coldly. You're a useless freeloader. If you hadn't begged my parents to marry me to you, you wouldn't have taken over the Windsor group back then. And you definitely wouldn't be living here. It's you who should get out. The two of them had a huge argument, and the illegitimate children were too scared to say a word. Watching them tear each other apart, I finally felt at ease. Finally, my mom couldn't take it anymore and stormed out with James. Looking at my dad, whose face was ashen, I pretended to be curious and said, Dad, actually, James is quite destined to our family. Look at his appearance. Although he looks a lot like Mom, but his eyes and mouth are almost the same as yours. With my accidental reminder, my dad finally seemed to think of something. He suddenly sat up from the sofa, his eyes so cold that they seemed to be able to kill at night. I heard him talking on the phone on the balcony. Help me investigate thoroughly. When she was reported by the media to be abroad, was she still in contact with Felix Windsor? I heard that Felix Windsor hasn't left Chongqing yet. Keep an eye on the area around his hotel for a few days. And I secretly called my mom. Mom, can you sleep well outside? Dad is losing his temper at home, saying he'll have someone investigate Felix Windsor. Who is Felix Windsor? My mom stammered. Sarah, be a good girl at home. Don't listen to your dad. Mom has to hang up now. What happened at the banquet went viral overnight. James made the Windsor family lose all face and was severely criticized by netizens. And my actions somewhat saved my parents' reputation, attributing this farce to the parents' educational problems were minor, but the adopted son had a bad character. My dad has been barely at home these days, but whenever we met, he would give me a few approving glances. Thanks to you. Otherwise we would all be in trouble this time. A few days later, the public opinion about the Windsor family gradually subsided, but the Windsor group was once again on the hot search. My dad consulted a lawyer, and after obtaining the approval of the board of directors, he made a will. After his death, all his property and the shares of the Windsor group would be equally divided between me and Vivian on the same day. My biological mom, whom I hadn't seen for a week, came home in a rage. I don't agree. Everything you have now is due to my family. It's fine if you give money to Sarah, but don't even think about giving it to that illegitimate child. My dad sneered and said, "That's my money, it's none of your business. Anyway, your brat won't get a single cent from me." Then he took out his phone and waved the screen in front of my mom. In the video, the scene of her having an affair with my second uncle was extremely clear, and there were also words of her discussing drugging my dad. Eleanor Tudor. I underestimated you. You actually wanted to drug me and murder your husband. If I hand this video over to the police, you should know what the consequences will be. So you'd better leave the house clean-handed, otherwise, not only will you be ruined, but your so-called family won't have a good time either. My mom's face grew uglier and uglier finally. She gritted her teeth reluctantly and said, "Fine. You're ruthless." Before she left, Vivian opened the door for her triumphantly. "Mom, haven't you?" "Oh no, Auntie. Have a good trip. Remember not to mess with me again." Or the video in Dad's hands. My mom gave her a fierce glare. I gasped for Vivian. How could she dare to provoke a woman who conspired with her lover to kill her husband? I quietly went back to my room and called one of James' friends. The 500,000 has been transferred. Don't forget to remind him that Mom doesn't have many shares, but Dad is different. He is a major shareholder of the Windsor groups and he has no blood relation with Dad. Persuade him to bow to Vivian. What is a little friction? Bowing to someone you're having an affair with in front of money is not a difficult thing, right? My parents divorced and my mom left the house with nothing, with the condition that my dad would delete all the videos and photos now. Regarding my dad's will, my mom no longer had the right to speak. Vivian and I were officially named the heirs of the Windsor Group, but the day after the news was released, the Windsor Group was on the hot search again. Several photos of Vivian at the banquet were enlarged, and the prices of her luxurious clothes and jewelry were marked at her sister's welcome home banquet. Who is she all dressed up for? Such a girl's ulterior motives are written all over her face. Everyone knows what she's up to. My dad was dissatisfied with the netizens' comments, and Vivian tried to clarify online herself, but her few words were no match for my hired internet trolls. Look at Vivian's luxurious and wasteful appearance. Tsk, if her parents are really as kind-hearted and altruistic as they claim, could they raise such a child? I was classmates with her for a few years. I know she's not only wasteful but also arrogant and domineering. She bullied classmates at school, and all these things were suppressed because her family is rich. Apart from the biological daughter who wasn't raised at home, are there any good people in the Windsor family? Would you really dare to buy the things they sell? I definitely wouldn't. In my previous life, I was the one being attacked by netizens. I spent countless nights crying my eyes out while reading those vicious words. The more I tried to clarify, the more malicious the online comments towards me became. In the end, photos of me picking up water bottles near the orphanage and wolfing down hard-steamed buns were all over the internet. I was called the trashy young lady. Eventually, I couldn't bear the pressure and went insane. Only after my death did I find out that Vivian was behind all of this. Now, I'll pay her back double. I had people collect dirt on Vivian everywhere. Thanks to her dark heart, there was plenty of it. She couldn't clarify, and the more she tried to cover it up, the more the netizens disliked her, so much so that even the stock market of the Windsor Group was hit. My dad also hired internet trolls, but he couldn't suppress the public opinion. It seemed that there was a greater force fanning the flames. Of course, although my mom left the house with nothing, She was still the daughter of the Chen family and had the money to hire internet trolls. Finally, my dad lost his patience. After severely scolding Vivian, he also froze her credit cards. Vivian was furious. She pointed at me and started questioning. Sarah, Hundauto Mosai. You did all this, didn't you? Why are you doing this to me? I was so good to you. I gave you the big room, and I laughed coldly. Were you really good to me? If you think the big room is so good, why didn't you live in it yourself? Why were the diamonds on the dress you left with me sold by James? You can fool me, accession. But don't fool yourself. Suddenly, she stopped acting crazy and stared at me intently. You won't win. I'm Dad's favorite child. And you'll never surpass me. My mom died in childbirth when she gave birth to me. She died at the age when he loved her the most. For a few days, Vivian didn't make any moves against me. She just spent all day holding a photo of her mom and crying in front of my dad. If Mom were still alive, would I not have to live such a hard life? Dad, I don't want you to hate me. I can leave here. As long as it can make you a little happier. At first, my dad was unmoved, and his occasional soft heartedness was quickly replaced by the declining market value of the company. Later, after she ate the food I made and had a high fever that was diagnosed as food poisoning by the doctor, my dad's look at me changed, and he felt pity for her again. We're a family. We should help each other in the future. I pretended not to understand what he meant and bought more internet trolls, quietly cooperating with my mom to smear him and Vivian online. At the same time, under the operation of my mom's family, the news of James' engagement to the daughter of the Shao group spread throughout the city. The alliance between the Chen family and the Shao family was in the spotlight for a while. Everyone knew that my parents had parted on bad terms, and most people decisively chose to side with the Chen family. Richard, seeing the deteriorating situation of the Windsor group, finally couldn't bear the high pressure. His body swayed, and he eventually collapsed in Vivian's panic gaze. I immediately called the family doctor. Dr. Zhang gave a few acupuncture needles and my dad slowly regained consciousness. Richard, have you been overusing spices recently? Your symptoms seem like you've been poisoned. My dad gasped upon hearing this. Poisoned? No wonder I've been feeling dizzy lately. So it's poisoning. Did Eleanor Tudor do this? But didn't she fail to drug me? Dr. Zhang said according to the lines I had prepared in advance. Judging by your pulse, it seems like you were poisoned and recently. We'd better find the source of the poison first so that we can prescribe the right medicine. Glancing at Vivian's guilty eyes, I pretended to just remember and said, Dr. Zhang, why don't you look around our house? The only things with a fragrance I can think of are Mom's perfume, cosmetics, and things like aromatherapy. Oh, right. There's also the pillow my sister gave. Vivian exclaimed, No way. My dad turned his head to stare at her, looking suspicious. Only then did she realize that she had lost her temper, and she barely squeezed out an awkward smile. Dad, you must be tired. How can being in a bad mental state be considered poisoning? Just take more rest, and you'll surely get better. Before my dad could think it over, I retorted, It's just looking for something. It doesn't take much effort. Why are you so flustered, sister? What are you trying to hide? She was about to say something when my dad's face darkened. Dr. Zhang, go get the pillow. Half an hour later, Dr. Zhang came to my dad with the pillow. Richard, it's indeed the problem with the pillow. There are a large number of hallucinogenic spices in it. It's hard for Western medicine to detect, but since you've been using it for a long time, it might be difficult to cure. I feigned surprise and said, Sister, how could you put poison in the pillow? She shook her head. No, I didn't. It was you. You put it there yourself. I said. You sewed this with your own hands. It can be seen at a glance if anyone has opened it and put new spices in. My dad examined it carefully. There were indeed no signs of it being opened. His eyes were filled with anger. I've always been tolerant and doting on you for your mom's sake. I thought you were pure and kind, but I didn't expect you're so vicious. You even dared to poison your own father. She started crying. Dad, I didn't mean to harm you. I just. This pillow was originally for sisters. He's the one who gave it to you. I sneered. So, you meant to harm me. Even if your initial intention wasn't to harm Dad, You had countless chances to take the pill away or remind Dad not to use it anymore. Why didn't you? You just wanted to let it happen and let Dad get poisoned. What? Do you think you can inherit the inheritance smoothly if Dad dies? This sentence directly irritated my dad. He slapped her across the face and gritted his teeth, saying, "Get out. I never want to see you again. Not a single cent of my money has anything to do with you." Vivian covered her face and shouted, "Don't you forget that my mom died giving birth to you. If it weren't for you, I wouldn't have been an illegitimate daughter, hidden from the world my whole life. How dare you drive me away?" My dad slapped her again. "Get out, get out. I wish I had known that your mom gave birth to a wretch like you. I wouldn't have felt a bit sorry if she had died 100 times. She suddenly laughed maniacally and said maliciously, "I'm the only one who knows the specific formula of the spice. Without the formula you can't get rid of the poison. If you don't give me the money, you might as well wait to die." Seeing that my dad was about to waver, I said, "Dad, why don't you just apologize to sister and get the antidote?" "Apologize? Ask a father to apologize to a daughter who tried to kill him. And in front of another daughter?" The already mentally unstable man couldn't accept this at all. His face instantly turned gloomy, and he stared intently at Vivian. "Then let's see who will starve to death on the street first, you or me. We'll see." There was no need to wait and see. That night, I saw her make a phone call and then rush out in a hurry. An hour later, the friend I had placed beside James sent me a video. It was a picture of Vivian and James hugging each other. "Brother, I was just too scared at that time, so I shifted the blame onto you. I didn't answer your calls a few days ago because there were so many things going on at home. I was afraid Dad would get angry if he found out at us. Not that I don't want to share the Windsor Group's shares with you, but now that old man refuses to give me the inheritance." James forced a smile to comfort her. "We were both calculated by that bitch Sarah. How could I blame you? If it weren't for her, how could my mom have left the house with nothing? How could she have made me marry that 200-pound sow from the Shao family just to get the shares of the Chen family? Don't worry. Once we get the support of the Chen family and the Shao family, dealing with her will be much easier." After watching the content, I felt extremely disgusted. I secretly accessed my dad's computer and retrieved the videos of my mom and my second uncle. That's right. All the videos my dad promised to delete for my mom were still intact in the computer. Then, I posted all the videos online. My mom's online reputation plummeted. Netizens mocked my mom as the modern-day Bajinlian, and the disgusting relationship of the illegitimate children was too much for netizens to bear. It was indeed disgusting. In my previous life, after my parents went on a trip, I found them fooling around in the study and vomited until I was dizzy. To keep their secret, they covered my mouth and submerged me in the bathtub for hours, making me suffocate again and again. I didn't want to suffer anymore and chose to end my life. This time I'm going to tear off their fig leaf and let everyone see their sordidness soon. The Shao group called off the engagement and harshly threatened to blacklist my mom and James. The mother-son pair completely became the laughingstock of Zhongcheng. Subsequently, I called my mom and recounted what had happened recently. "Mom, Kevin fulfilled session. I'm so scared one day Vivian hurt me. If she doesn't give the antidote, will Dad really die?" My mom was silent on the other end for a long time and I could sense her suppressed excitement. "Don't worry, Sarah. You're my biological daughter, and I won't leave you alone." That scoundrel Richard promised to delete the videos. Yet he dared to double-cross me. Now that I have nothing, I'm not afraid of anything. I'm going to get rid of them. Get rid of them all. I burst into tears. But if Dad dies, will he leave all the inheritance to Vivian? Then I'll have nothing." "Oh right. Vivian seems to have driven that sports car to find brother. Can you ask brother to persuade Vivian?" "Vivian died in a car accident. It was due to brake failure. And it was my mom who did it." I reported her without hesitation, and my mom was immediately thrown into prison, with no chance of getting out in this lifetime. My dad's condition got worse and worse. And in the end he was almost out of his mind, but I took care of him all the time. Now he trusted me completely and almost handed all matters over to me. "The people from the board of directors called just now. They said your current physical condition is not good if you haven't made a will. According to the law, your property might be inherited by James and me together." "Oh, right. Second uncle also called. He said that if you die, James' share will belong to him. Why not in this life after all? How could second uncle be like this? I heard that James has already started calling him dad. My dad was so angry that his throat made a hoarse sound finally. He asked me to find a lawyer. I knew that the will I wanted was going to be made later, in the dead of night. My dad spent a large sum of money to have someone kidnap James. In the basement he cut off the flesh on James' body, knife by knife. And then surrendered himself directly. If I can't have a good life, you son of a bitch, don't even think about leaving an illegitimate child to disgust me. Not long after, he was sent to a mental hospital. 3 months later, he committed suicide by jumping off a building in the mental hospital. I stood not far away and watched as he fell and turned into a pile of flesh. Finally, they were all dead. No one could get in my way anymore.